Hello explorers, welcome back to the channel. I hope you are well. I hope you like my surroundings today. I'm in the back garden and what I want to do is to answer your questions. So let's get straight into it. As you know, I'm not very good at pronouncing names, so hopefully I'm going to pronounce your names correctly as I'm answering these questions. But the first question is from Nate in Hayes, and he asks, will I be travelling back to the United States at some point in the future? And the answer to that is yes, I would love to go back to the US. I would love to be able to do the trip that I originally planned, and that's travelling from Los Angeles to New York City. I love New York, and I also want to go to places like the national parks and Wyoming and Utah and lots of other places in the United States. So we'll see what happens in the future, but yes, I would love to come back one day. The next question is by Bo Productions, and they ask, how did I come up with the name Explore List? Not too sure, to be honest. I liked exploring, and what I really wanted to do is list videos, so basically 10 things to do in Paris or 10 things to do in New York, and that was really what I was originally going to be doing as the types of content on this channel. But I decided to change that when I set off on my round the world trip, and I wanted to do it more personal, vlog style. So I probably will get to that type of content in the future, but that's mainly the reason why it was going to be list videos of highlighting things to do in various places. But I do like exploring, so that was the main reason for using the word Explore List. Next up is a question from Mohammed Abdur-Rahman, and he asks, what is my favourite food that I've eaten on my round the world trip? I would have to say that the food that I enjoyed the most was either in Bangkok in Thailand, I loved the Thai food, or in Penang in Malaysia. What I loved about Penang is there was cuisines of every type. I loved the Indian food in Little India, I loved the Malaysian food in the hawker stalls, I loved the Chinese food. It was fantastic. Southeast Asia for me is the best place to get really good food. And good prices for food as well. For an all-you-can-eat buffet, you're talking about £3. For a meal, like 2-course meal, you're talking about £2.50, which is really cheap. The next question is by James Smith, and he asks, which country or city did I enjoy the most on my round the world trip? That's a really difficult question to answer. It's a question that everybody has been asking me since I've returned home from my round the world trip. It's probably easier to say the country that I didn't enjoy the most, and that would be Singapore. And that's simply because of the quality of the hotels and the fact that it was just so expensive, especially to get around and eat. So yeah, I would say Singapore I enjoyed the least. Don't get me wrong, it's a nice country, you should at least experience it yourself, but it's not somewhere that I would rush back to. My favourite country, that's really difficult. I would have to probably say Malaysia would be very close to my favourite, especially Kuala Lumpur and Penang. I thought the people were really friendly, it was a very cheap place to live, the food was fantastic, lots of different places to visit and tourist attractions. So Malaysia is high up there, but I also love New Zealand with the scenery and the wildlife. It was a little bit cold, but it was winter in New Zealand. And yeah, I think they're probably the top two places that I enjoyed the most, Malaysia and New Zealand. The next question is from Ben Harris, and he asks, am I going back to my job after my round the world trip, and do I make money on YouTube? The first question, well, I left my job of 24 years, so I'm not going back to that job. But what I am going to be doing is doing freelance work. So I'm going to be working for all sorts of different businesses. I'm going to be doing marketing, writing, all sorts of different jobs, different roles, and I'm going to be able to do that remotely wherever I decide to travel and stay in the world. So I'm not going back to my old job, I'm moving on, and I can't wait to share my future with you all on this channel. And about making money on YouTube, no, I've made very little money from these videos, and it wasn't really set up to make money in the first place. It was really just for me to share my travel experiences as I was travelling around the world. I think I've made about £20 in 12 months of doing these videos, so I don't see it as a way of making a living anytime in the foreseeable future. The next question is by It's Jossie, and he asks, when is the round the world trip over and what will I be doing after? Well, my round the world trip is now over. I'm back home in Yorkshire. I'm in my mum and stepdad's back garden, and that's where I am right now. And what's going on in the future? Well, I'm going to be going to Riga in Latvia in September. I'm going to be travelling there. I'm going to London, to Northumberland, and I'm also going to be going to Penang in Malaysia from the 5th of October. I'm going to be spending the British winter in a warmer climate, so I'm going to Malaysia for 3 months. So I'm going to be doing a bit of exploring in Southeast Asia. So the travels are continuing, and as I mentioned in the previous question, I'm going to be doing freelance work in between the travelling, so that it allows me to be able to do what I want to do and work and live where I want to. The final question is from the Nerdy Explorer, and he asks, what did I learn from my round the world trip? Which is a great question. It really did get me thinking. I would say that I've become more patient, less stressed, and I'll tell you the reason why for that. So obviously more patient. You know, things happen when you're travelling around the world that are just out of your control. You can't do anything about it. You've just got to deal with the issue and move on, and I'll talk about the types of travel issues that I had in a future video. But yeah, so you've got to be patient, you've got to not stress, just deal with the issues and move on. And yeah, I think I'm probably not as introverted as I was before. I've spoken to people, I've tried to be sociable. I'm still introverted and that'll never change, but I think you really do have to push yourself to speak to people and meet new people. And I've met so many great people as I've been travelling around the world, and some of them I hope will continue to be friends for, you know, forever. And we've got chirping birds in the background. So yeah, I think patience, not be as stressed, not as introverted as I was, and just to learn to enjoy life and experience all the different cultures, try the different cuisines out, try different activities that you wouldn't normally do before. And that's what I really learned from my around the world trip, and I can't wait to continue travelling and continuing to explore the world. That's the first 10 questions that you've asked me. I'm going to do another video in a couple of weeks with some more answers to your questions. In the meantime, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up, and if you're not a subscriber, click on that subscribe button, and I shall be back very soon. In fact, I'll be back on Tuesday with a new video from Yorkshire. Take care.